Hey guys, what's up? The first card that we have is Nine of Wands, and I'm also looking at King of Swords. This looks like some problem solving that may need to be done right now. You can possibly be feeling like mentally exhausted. There can maybe be some sort of pressure. Nine of Wands is about being close to accomplishing something, but it's at the point where it's kind of like a make or break moment when you can start having doubts, like your worries and concerns can be coming up. It can feel really difficult, and what is going to push you forward at that moment is connected with your willpower. But yeah, it can be that moment when you're kind of thinking about everything and it's like, am I gonna go for it? Am I gonna finish this? Am I gonna complete this? Or is this a moment where I kind of like fall back down the hill here? And having King of Swords, this can feel like a mental struggle more than anything right now. But that also means too that you can figure this out. It's like a complicated dance that has to be done, but as long as you stay on your feet, I'm seeing things are gonna work out with the Chariot. There may be a need for you to, you could possibly have to multitask here. You have to keep in mind what's really important, and I feel like that's about it. It doesn't feel like anything too challenging. I think if anything, it's just like you with your thoughts right now, and that being the most difficult part, because as far as what you need to actually do on a practical level to move forward, I'm not seeing that be anything super challenging. Meaning it's nothing that you can't figure out. Whatever this is, I'm seeing you give and you give and you give and you give to it. But maybe that's also the part that feels challenging as well about this too. It's like a difficult dance that's being figured out right now when it comes to how to like show up for this thing that you're involved with. And this looks overall like something that's going to work out, but the part that you play with in this can be the thing that feels really challenging at this point. And you can start to get worried too when it comes to a time like this. Like this is when you have these little things that can kick on, and you can feel like you need to be protective of your energy. You can start to withhold out of fear a bit. You can feel like if you keep showing up and you keep giving, you're going to be taken advantage of in some way. It's something like this that will pop up to the point where, you know, when something's going on that you're participating in and you're like, am I going to be taken advantage of? It feels like something like that that's going on here. Or like, is this going to benefit like everybody else except for me? It feels like something like this where you can feel like you need to watch your back a little bit here. But I'm more so seeing this be like more of a paranoia than an actual reality. And when things are feeling tricky like this, it can be the time where those sorts of thoughts start popping up. So you kind of have to work with yourself on that level when it comes to this, and maybe remind yourself what this is all about, because it feels like it's an exchange, it's a dance, it goes back and it goes forth, you know, like sometimes whatever this is that you're involved in, it's like sometimes maybe you get more than you put in, sometimes maybe you get less than you put into whatever situation this is, but it's like it always breaks even at the end of the day to be what it is that you need it to be. And it's about remembering that. It's kind of like the pendulum always will swing the other way as well. So there can be something about that you have to remind yourself of, because overall, having Six of Pentacles here, this feels like it's something that's worth it to you to be a part of. And that this is something that can work, and it can work well. And maybe reminding yourself of that too, like what you are trying to accomplish here really is possible. And although it can maybe feel a little bit out of grasp, I'm seeing this is the direction that you're going in when you look around and everything is kind of in right order. And now can be the part where you kind of have to like give a little more to see that moment happen. And I think not to pull back prematurely just because you feel scared. It's like when things get difficult, these thoughts start popping up. And it's maybe something that you're becoming more aware of, like what happens in your head when you get to a point like this within a process, and how to work with that. It's not that you don't want to be here, you do want to be here. I think this is just a self-preservation type of concern, but that's like all it is. Because I'm not seeing a situation where, you know, if something seemed off, if something seemed out of balance, if there was a correction needed, that would be being brought up. I'm not seeing that. This is more so like times get tough. That's when the triggers start happening, and it's when the defenses come up, and then it's when the concerns of like, how is this going to work, and how are things going to end up kind of like coming together here. And the need to work through that while reminding yourself of why it's important that you're here doing what you're doing. And to keep focusing on what's important. Yeah, I see so much mental activity. We have Five of Swords, we have Nine of Swords, we have Eight of Swords all in the middle here. So, like, how do you problem solve with yourself when you're having a hard time mentally? How do you remind yourself of what's important when you're starting to get, like, consumed by everything that's going on in your head? How do you find a way to make things work when there are solutions and that is possible, when you're feeling frozen and stuck, when you're feeling like you're not really moving? You know, I'm seeing your head look like, it's like usually your head, the thoughts in your head, it's like moving very fluidly, but right now it's like a slushy. So it's very hard to kind of maneuver through there, and you're kind of getting frozen in the space, and things don't feel fluid mentally and psychologically. So this is about finding a way to, it feels less so about working with the situation, because the situation is what it is. It's more so like you working with your perspective of what's going on here and your attitude connected with what's going on. And especially when you start feeling your defenses coming up, how do you not be reactive in a way that you're gonna end up being like, I was just triggered and then I reacted to that, and now like the whole thing's kind of collapsing, but it didn't really need to go in that direction. So it's kind of like, how do you talk yourself off the ledge? How do you bring yourself back? Because what you want, like having Six of Pentacles, having Four of Wands, what you want is really possible here. You can have that. It's not something that's out of reach. But right now, that can kind of be the story a little bit, because there's something going on. Maybe something happened that got to you. Maybe you're going through a particularly challenging time with this thing that you have going on, and that can get you worried. But how do you be able to witness that you're having that experience and still stick with this because it's something important to you that you want to see through? I'm seeing Six of Wands on the bottom of the deck, and I was also seeing this before too. When Nine of Wands came out, I was seeing Six of Wands. Six of Wands is about overcoming the challenges that you're being faced with. It's about ultimately getting the win when it comes to moving through a situation. So that's where I'm seeing things go with this. So there's the actual giving of energy into the cycle. There's needed to move through all of the mental stuff, and then once you get through that, I'm seeing there be movement once again. Ending with the Eight of Wands here. So it will feel like this is the part when you can where you can feel stuck. This is the moment where you can be like, is it really all going to be worth it? And then having the Eight of Wands is like when that movement happens then. So you see the push happen at that point. It's kind of like the breakthrough that happens at that point. But there's a need for you to keep kind of moving things around here. Like keep putting your energy in and participating. It's reminding me of like a wheel or something like that. When you're doing when you're like trying to push something up, the way that it can feel heavy to kind of gain that momentum, but then once it gets to the top, that's when things like neutralize. And then once things start going downhill, it's like you have all that force working with you. So this feels like something that's connected with like a revolving door or something like that, where it's like you have to keep pushing the pedal. But once you get it to where it needs to go, then you're going to be able to have that like lack of tension, and then things are just going to move. And it feels like that. Like sometimes more of that effort needs to be put in, and then other times you're kind of just like cruising. Sometimes it's uphill, sometimes it's downhill, but it's like when you get to a point where you have to work uphill, you have to get to the top of the hill to get to experience the downhill part of it. So that's why it feels like it's important to kind of keep the motion moving. But when you get to a spot like this, it's like going halfway up the hill and then you start getting stuck in your head, you stop moving with it, and then it's like you're gonna start going backwards in a way that you don't want to here. So you have to kind of like talk to yourself and be like, gotta keep going till you get to the top of the hill, and then inevitably you're gonna get there, and then you go downhill from there. But I feel you at a spot where you're like very close to being at the top of the hill there, and it feels like that's when like more of the anxiety starts coming up. That's when the concerns start coming up. That's when the questions start coming up, and that you need to like remind yourself of the bigger picture of what you're doing here, and also the way that the energy works. Because this is going to be the uphill, that Nine of Wands. You see this person feeling very tired, and then that's going to be the downhill when the movement is there and it's very easy. But this feels like getting stuck before you get to the top of there, and you like feel yourself slowly starting to go back, and you need to kick things back into gear in order to move forward. But yeah, I think that when you get to this point, you can be like feeling like you're not going to get to the top of the hill, and then is it worth it to me to keep going with this? And then again, you want to like pull back your energy when you're so close to being there. So that's the part where this is difficult. You have to work with that part of yourself when you get to this point where you start feeling shut down, you start feeling stuck. And this is about you navigating within your own mental space to be able to keep moving through with this. And especially not being reactive emotionally, which I'm saying because I'm seeing Cancer here. Which can be like, do I need to be doing something about this right now? And it feels like, nope, this is something that's a normal part of the process. You keep moving through with this. It's obviously something that you want to still do. So move forward. But I think that this is also coming because of you and understanding the value of your energetic currency and not wanting to be wasting it. But this doesn't seem like a situation where you need to use your discernment and pull back your energy. That feels more like a reaction to something very temporary that's going on, and then later on you'd have wanted to do something differently. So it feels like to continue moving this through, because this feels even like you can be judging something way too soon, thinking something's going on, when it's like that's not really the big picture. It's just a snapshot of the moment. But yeah, maybe it's feeling like a little bit trigger happy when it comes to your energy and kind of like how you give it within this particular scenario. Even though it feels like what you're giving your energy to, it feels like a very complete system. This feels like something where it's symbiotic for everybody that's involved in it, meaning that it like benefits all participants. I'm not seeing something where it's like, yeah, give us your energy, and then like you don't get what you need from it, or like you with another person, whatever this is. I'm not seeing it be like that. I'm seeing it be something that it like completes itself. So whatever, like you're going to get what you need in exchange for being a part of this. But I think that's the main like paranoia about this situation, is that like not happening. But I'm seeing that you're in a good system where that actually you'll get what you need from this. So this is like a good thing to be participating in. It's something where there's this like inherent balance to this particular system. So yeah, you're hitting a rough patch right now, and also things are going to equalize. But you got to keep going at this point in order to see that happen. Yeah. But yeah, this can be the moment when a lot of doubt starts creeping in. And to also, King of Swords is somebody that is able to master their own mind and master their own thoughts. So it feels like that is part of your training moving through this, is learning how to work with yourself when you start feeling impacted like this, and figuring out how to problem solve with yourself to be able to see everything clearly. And make a choice from that place of wisdom within you. And to be rational as well. And not reactive. All right, my friends, we are going to leave the reading here. I would like to thank everyone for connecting and tuning in. I'm sending everybody love, and I hope to catch you guys next time.